was so confused because I was like, why, this should be one of my happiest moments. The media, the TV make it like, oh, it's a miracle, your life is perfect now because we're expected to get married, have 2.5 children, whatever, do this, that. And I felt like, oh, it's another box that's ticked. But actually I was just like, oh, do I feel happy? I don't know.
Welcome to the Brown Girl Rising podcast, where authenticity meets empowerment. I'm Urvashi, your host and your guide on this journey of elevating voices, sharing stories, and navigating the journey of resilience. So let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to Brown Girl Rising. Today I have a very fashionable guest with me. I have Jeminee Solanki. She is a stylist whose purpose is to transform your life and not just your wardrobe. Jeminee has a wealth of experience in the fashion and luxury markets, from designing jewellery for Louis Vuitton in Paris, ooh la la, to working at the head office of the mega fashion house Selfridges. But her sense of style didn't start there. It's actually in her lineage, from her grandmother who used to design and make clothes in Africa to making outfits for Jeminee when she was younger. Fashion and style are definitely in her genes. Boom, boom. However, after having two beautiful daughters, Jeminee realized that she didn't know herself anymore. She didn't recognize her body. Who was that woman looking back at her in the mirror? And why was she always in tears? After speaking to a psychiatrist, Jeminee realized that she had postnatal depression, or PND. With her identity lost, she decided that she needed to take control, and the one thing she could do was dress for her new body shape. Other mothers at her NCT group started commenting on her wardrobe and her style and wanted to take her shopping. And then the Stylist Academy was born. Along the way, Jeminee found her love for herself again. This is so powerful, Jeminee, and I'm so excited to have you on the Brown Girl Rising podcast. So welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm great. Thank you so much.
Incredible. So first of all, congratulations on your two babies. Your body is a vessel for two goddesses. So you should be proud. And I'm so glad that you've got to a place in your life that you are able to love your body and your shape again. So look, the first question I always ask all of my guests is, what does it mean to you to be unlimited?
I think to be unlimited means, for me personally, would mean just to never stop giving. Like, for me, it's really important to keep giving my energy, my service, my time for other people. And yeah, like having that unlimited energy to keep giving to other people and serving people, serving my family and others. It's like, that's what fills me up as well, because, sharing that love and joy and power is amazing.
So where do you find your unlimited energy from then?
I suppose there's a balance in life. So my energy I get from ensuring I have some me time every day. That is not, I can't compromise on that. That's like a given. Every single day I need to give myself my me time, whether that means having a coffee by myself, going for a walk, or just little things like that fills my cup and fills my energy up again.
Incredible. So I want to talk about, after you had your second baby, you went through postnatal depression. So what was going on for you at that moment? You mentioned that you didn't really recognize yourself anymore.
Basically, having worked in fashion all my life, and my love for dressing up was every day. Like, it was fun to get dressed up in the morning, and I felt like it was almost like armor, because I'd wear the clothes and I'd feel like unstoppable, unlimited, and able to do anything, achieve anything. And then I think after having both my beautiful children, I said to myself, I should be happy. I should be, so filled up with joy. And although it was an incredible moment in my life, but I was so used to being this driven career woman. And then all of a sudden, the expectation, especially in South Asian community, of you to be this perfect housewife. And I felt like, there was this expectation for me to be this 1950s perfect housewife, and I just wasn't that person. Like, I can't make round rotis still right now, and I couldn't then. I was like, oh my God, I'm in charge of two humans.
Yeah.
And I just kept crying because I just didn't really identify with the new role that I was expected to take on. And also just I couldn't recognize myself when I looked in the mirror. I was wearing like my husband's t-shirts because nothing fit me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was, I was just, and the fact that nothing fit me, I think from media and society in general, I'd kind of had this thing that, you have to look good and like be a certain size to look good. That was the message that was recurring in my brain. And because I couldn't fit into anything, I automatically had said to myself, oh, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. All of those kind of things started. It was just a downward spiral because the clothes didn't fit.
Yeah. So your self-talk was generally negative in that sense, right? Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned a minute ago that there was the expectations of being a 1950s housewife. I just want to kind of not necessarily go into that, but also kind of say women, like, did you find that when you went from being an independent woman, yes, of course, married at that point, you were an independent woman, you had your career, and then you had your babies, that it was expected that it should come naturally to you to be a mom?
Yes. Yeah. I think there's a huge expectation of you to just switch modes. And we wear so many hats already, and women, I think. As a woman, I felt like, I don't know these things. Like, I'm not a great, no, I am now. I wasn't a great cook. I wasn't great at doing lots of things. And then, I had to make sure that lots of things were done, and looking after two little humans, it was, there's no handbook. It's just like, okay, get on with it.
Yeah. Now, I've kind of obviously not experienced postnatal depression, but I've experienced depression. I've also seen my sister go through, a version of postnatal depression herself. And can you just explain to our listeners who maybe haven't been through this, what it actually feels like?
So yeah, it was just an overwhelming sense of like sadness and just crying, uncontrollably crying. My family were like, oh, it's your hormones and it's normal, don't worry. And I was so confused because I was like, why, this should be one of my happiest moments. The media, the TV make it like, oh, it's a miracle, your life is perfect now, because we're expected to get married, have 2.5 children, whatever, do this, that. And I felt like, oh, it's another box that's ticked. But actually I was just like, oh, I don't know if I do I feel happy? I don't know. So it was a big adjustment. So it was just a lot of confusion. And I think that one of the biggest frustrations was not having anyone to talk to, because nobody really got it. And there's a big expectation for you to just carry on, and not express how you're feeling. And it wasn't really anyone's fault, because that's how they'd kind of carried on as well. They'd been told to just get on with it, like, oh, you'll get over it, carry on, with life. And I was like, no, I can't. And thank God for my friend who had that conversation with me. And then she was like, Jem, the underlying cause of all of this is loss of identity. And that's what I felt, was like I'd lost my identity. I didn't know who I was anymore. So that was a huge thing for me. And then when we dug a bit deeper, I realized that the person I related to, the old Jeminee I related to, was the person who got dressed up every day and could take on everything. And because I couldn't dress for myself, I felt lost. And that was the significance of it all.
Yeah. So do you feel like you maybe mourned pre-baby Jeminee to become post-baby Jeminee?
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's different for everyone. I don't think everyone is going to be feeling that same feeling. And and like your journey, anyone's journey through depression can be really different. But I think it's not spoken about, especially in the South Asian community. We don't speak about our feelings very much. No. And it's like, the family, they were really supportive in lots of ways, but in terms of speaking, because they had no experience on how to deal with that, they didn't know what to say.
Yeah, and they are supportive, right? Because I think, are you Gujarati?
Yes.
Yeah, so you do that 40 days where the mom comes to the house and cooks for you and all that kind of, you rest, they look after the baby. But my sister said for her, that was her bonding time. She needed that time with her own child. Yet everybody wanted to like take the child away to give her rest. She's like, I don't want the rest. I want my child, you know, to bond with it. So you mentioned earlier that, you know, the generation before us or before that didn't really have this mentality where they spoke about what they were going through and they just had this get on with it. Do you think that's one of the reasons that maybe that generation has got some trauma work to do and healing work to do that they just don't talk, you know, because they don't talk about it, they don't express it, right? They keep
100, yeah, definitely. I think, you know, I think everyone has I think in their generation they used to think that coaching or, you know, psychiatry or like going to see someone for mental health, it's like it's for those people that like had really messed up things happen. Like you're basically messed up if you go to see someone like that.
Well, back in the day, self-development books were called self-help books.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that's such a massive connotation about what you're doing. Like you need that help. But actually, it's about development, right?
Yeah.
We're lucky that we've been brought up in this time. And I've always say this on, you know, I've said it on a number of podcasts, but I believe that that generation was there to set our foundations so that we can thrive. So fashion's in your blood. Let's talk about your grandma a little bit. Tell me a little bit about her story and how that inspired you, maybe.
So I think my grandma was a bit of a rebel, a bit like me. So she lived in Africa. Yeah, love it. So she lived in Africa and you know, she had a big family and she wasn't supposed to work. So she, you know, had to do the chores and things like that. But she was like, you know what, I'm going to work. I'm going to make my own thing. And started to teach herself how to make sari blouses, how to make dresses. And, you know, I don't know how she taught herself. She had a sewing machine. She saved up for ages. You know, there was no YouTube or TikTok or anything then. So, it's amazing that she managed to teach herself how to do it. And she became an expert in that. And then all the women in the village used to go to her to get their outfits made and the blouses made and things like that. So she was very entrepreneurial. And my granddad was a hairdresser, so like the husbands used to go there and the wives used to go to my grandma. So it was quite good.
Entrepreneurial.
Yeah, it was really cool. When they came to this country, then they were elderly. When they came to this country, they were retired and they lived with us. My grandma used to be like, okay, I want to carry on my passion, and she had her sewing machine and she was like, right, I'm going to make all your outfits as soon as I was born. So I'd make all my outfits. And the most significant one was my 3rd birthday, where she made this beautiful dress. And I was like, I want to feel like Cinderella. And she was like, I'm going to make you a blue dress. And she goes, it's the only one in the world. And it's so unique. Like you're the only person that has it. And it really was a Cinderella, like magical moment. Like when I put on that dress, I felt really special and amazing. And that was the moment I realized the power of clothes. It's not just a garment, it's not just fabric, it's actually the whole thing. And the point about styling for me is about the confidence that you feel with that. And I felt like, you know, amazing when I put that on. And
3 years old. Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, I want to have this feeling forever, and I want to help others to feel that as well.
That's how you led you to your fashion career. That's amazing. I just want to say that when the moment you said it was your birthday, 3 years old, a vision came to me, and I was like, I bet she was in a blue dress.
Oh my God.
I don't know why. I just saw you. I saw you as a little girl in a blue dress, and and then she went, it was a blue dress like Cinderella. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it was.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So, you know, a lot of people see dressing up, doing the fashion thing, etc., a little bit as vanity. How did you turn that into something so positive for your clients?
I think it's more about self-care. It's not like, you can call it vanity, like people can call it vanity if they want. Like, you know, I've had people come to me and say, well, people should just accept me for who I am. Yes. And I'm like, yeah, and I think, you know, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. like people should accept you for who you are, because styling isn't about completely changing who you are. It's actually about strengthening your outfits to represent you and be authentic to who you are and your personality. So I don't have like a one size fits all kind of put everyone in a box strategy. It's actually really going deep diving into, I do a psychometric test during my consultation to really understand, to go deep into understanding my client's personality, because I can do, like, people say, oh, I got my colors done, but I don't know, and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, I've trained to do that, and I'll do that for you. But there's no point me dressing you in red if red looks amazing on your skin, but actually red, you're a shy person, then you're not going to feel authentic in that color. And that's a huge massive thing that is missing in a lot of what people do with their services. So going deep into understanding who they are and creating a wardrobe that really represents the authentic you is what I really am passionate about.
I'm going to say I love that. I have never heard of a stylist who literally gets to know you through a psychometric test and tries and understands you, who you are at the core, and then go, actually, let's style you around that. I think that's beautiful, and I'm just going to say I might have to put myself in for one of those. So, you know, you said something earlier about kind of like having a sense of style. People should accept me, for who I am. And I completely get that too. But why should you not look after yourself in the process? If you're saying people should accept me as who I am, are you just going to sit around with greasy hair and like, you know, skin, whatever, drying skin? I completely agree with you when you say it is about self-care. Now, I'm not the most fashionable person in the world. So my next question, and something I want to know, is like, to have style, do you need to be on trend?
No. So I'm not the most fashionable person. I'm probably the least fashionable person in the world. I have had the same clothes, like this top, for example, I've had for 12 years. My wardrobe consists of 104 pieces of items of clothing.
But you've counted them.
Yeah, I'm so sad. I know exactly how many items I have. I'm really organized and on top of like my wardrobe. Not every area of my life, but my wardrobe for sure. And working in fashion for the first decade of my 20s of my career, I was always like, there was so much pressure to be on trend. Oh, like this is on trend, you need to wear it, because you know we're in the office and everyone's like, oh, she's wearing last season, like this, you know. So it was like, okay, so I was spending a lot of money on clothes and my wardrobe was bulging, stuffed full of clothes, and I never felt like I had the right thing to wear. It was so much pressure. And it's like buying a new car and driving it out of the showroom and thinking, yeah, you know what, this is worth X amount, but as soon as you've taken it out of the showroom, it's lost its value. And the same thing with an item of clothing. You'll buy that piece on trend, take it out of the shop, and it's like the next thing's come out, so you know it's lost its value. So you'll never be on trend. Nobody on earth will ever be on trend, because that photo is uploaded or your selfie is uploaded and then something else has come out, and that's not what I agree with. It's like more to the core of what's your personality, and just creating a refined wardrobe. So you don't have to have thousands of items of clothing, and that's what I think everyone feels, that pressure, especially with social media. They feel like, oh my god, I need to
wear the same thing twice.
And I'm wearing lots of things again and again, but people just don't believe that I've only got a small wardrobe. But once I help you to create that for yourself, you can style it in lots of different ways and make it look different.
So what does it mean to have a capsule wardrobe?
So a capsule, I do believe in capsule wardrobes, but not the generic capsule wardrobe. So there's a lot of stylists that will say, like, you know, this is what consists of a capsule wardrobe: a good pair of jeans, a white t-shirt, a leather jacket. But that's a uniform. And that's what, like, we don't all want to look the same. I want everyone to embrace their personalities and wear what you know they feel they are. And you know, we all have different days. Like, I'm the type of person that will wear sequins to Sainsbury's. I don't care whether it's Christmas or, you know, what day it is. If I want to wear it, I am a loud personality, and I like that. I like bold, bright things. But you know, some people will be like, oh my god, that's just way too much, I don't want to do that. So if you want something more refined, then yes, great. But a capsule wardrobe is about creating items that are work for you long term, for in your wardrobe, that you can wear it again and again and style in lots of different ways. So that's my definition of a capsule wardrobe, not these specific items.
Specific to you, right? And I guess that doesn't then include like things like fast fashion, because again, that's trying to be on trend. Kim Kardashian wore it and all of a sudden it's on a website somewhere, right?
So fast fashion is like, my definition of fast fashion is trends, right? I think that's the similar. But fast fashion can be defined as also like high street. A lot of the high street produce fast fashion, but I'm a high street girl at heart. I don't think you have to spend thousands of pounds to look good, and I don't think you need to spend a lot of money to look good. So you can still buy into high street things, but it's about understanding your signature style, which is part of my process. So you understand your signature style. If it fits in with that, then you would buy it.
So you just mentioned high street, and we had a really interesting conversation about the high street before we press record. Now, obviously, as somebody who does buy like clothing, probably isn't that, obviously I've said it before, I'll say it again, I'm not that fashionable, probably does have a sense of style. How do I know if what I'm buying is ethical? You know, with that, there's a huge thing going on about the ethical part of the fashion industry. How do I know if something's ethical?
So I have worked behind the scenes with a lot of big brands. So I've worked with factories in China. I lived in China.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I've lived in quite 5 different countries. So yeah, China was one of them. And when I lived there, I worked with the factories and I saw the whole process, the manufacturing process. And for any product to enter Europe and to be sold, the UK law is that it has to fit into EU regulations, and the EU regulations stipulate that you have to produce the item ethically. It needs to be fair pay for the worker, and there are different tests. There are independent houses that do those tests to make sure that this does happen. But obviously, as you see in the media, that does slip up sometimes here or there, but generally all of the high street will be ethical because it's not allowed to be sold unless it is.
Wow. Okay. That's really important to know, I think, as people who shop, as people who want to be maybe stylish or be on trend at times. It's really important to know that actually our high street is an ethical place to shop.
Yeah, it is. I think, it cannot not be ethical, but you can get like the sustainable or ethical brands, or like, the sign where it says like, even H&M have like the ethical range, which is super, like, that goes deep into like where the cotton is produced and how the farming is done and all of that. So that's a little bit more in depth, but it depends how passionate you are about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think people are getting more and more passionate about it, especially with like, the environmental stuff that's going on as well. So you mentioned that you've worked in a lot of fashion houses. Now, whilst you were talking a moment ago, when you were talking about now how no one can ever really be on trend, and how you worked with these big designer houses, the movie Devil Wears Prada was playing in my head.
That is my life. Yeah.
I want to ask you, is it really, obviously I know that's a magazine. No, it wasn't. Yes, it was. Was it a magazine? Yes, it was.
It's a magazine. Yeah.
So is it like that in, like you said, you worked for Louis Vuitton and you've worked in different brands? Is it really like that? Like the whole, she's so last season, darling.
Yes. It really is. Like I'm not gonna say that any of those one brands is that, but yes, in general, it was. So I've worked in fashion for 23 years. So when I was in those days when I was in fashion, that I used to remember, you know, the Kate Moss era, the size 0, where girls used to like literally physically make themselves sick in the bathrooms. In our whole, that was the standard in our office. Like that was what happened. And I'm really like lucky that I was just like such a foodie and I didn't give a shit because I was just, sorry to swear, but I was just like, yeah. I had my croissant and my tea and my, you know, whatever, and I'd be like, I love this, and I'm not puking it up. I just want to eat it. I don't care. And I was never a size 0. I was very slim, but I just wasn't a size 0, and I wasn't interested in being a size 0 ever. So I think that's where with my styling process, it's about embracing your body shape, whatever shape or size you are. And is, you know, and I'm not going to say I'm 100% happy about, you know, my body, because that would be a lie. Because yeah, like, you know, there's always going to be areas where I'm like, oh, you know, I want to like, I wish that was like this, or wish that would, but I try and change my language to myself, or you know, and I try and press a reset button and be like, you know what, actually, what's a more positive take on this? And also part of my consultation process, this is what makes me really sad with my clients, is I ask them a question where there's 2 columns. One of the columns is like, what areas of your body would you like to highlight? What areas of your body would you prefer to hide? And the hide column is full, like just such a long list. And the highlight is usually empty. Like I think I've had 2 people that have filled out the highlight, and I feel really sad. So I think, oh my God, this is so important. And being a mum of 2 girls as well, I think it's so important for me as well to be aware of the language I use around them, because I hear a lot of, you know, women in the playground, the school mums, saying that, you know, oh, I'm on a diet, oh, I'm not going to eat that, or oh my God, I've just put on so much weight because, oh, I had a cake this yesterday, so I feel so guilty. And like, I'm like, oh my God, you know, this is going to bear down on your children.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like whether they're girls or boys, actually, you know, I'm not going to, this, you know, body image issues, body confidence will, and we're at a point where I think all this generational trauma, we have the tools and resources to stop that, and like be very conscious of what we're saying to ourselves and our bodies.
You mentioned this hide and highlight. Now, I've been seeing a lot of reels recently about wearing something and styling something, right? So you can wear something and you can look a bit frumpy, but if you styled it better, like say with a belt or with a jacket or whatever, actually it makes you look slightly more svelte. So would you say that sometimes in those lists where people want to hide things, that actually if you just styled them and you maybe did something, like somebody can make themselves look smaller with their clothing?
Yeah, 100%. Like I think 9 times out of 10 my clients want to look slimmer or taller, or you know, that
taller
kind of, yeah, taller. You can do that, you can create that. A lot of my clients are really petite. Like I'm 5'8", and my last client
the same height.
Oh, amazing. And yeah, my client, that's unusual for a Gujarati girl as well. Yeah, we are. And yeah, my last client was 4'11", so and she was really struggling. And I hear, like, you know, how people struggle, but I also have had clients who want to create curves, so you can the clothes can help you to create curves or reduce curves, or like, so there's a science behind dressing well. It's not just like, oh, let me just randomly pick out, this is one trend, and let me just buy this random item and blah 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 and put something that looks nice together. It's actually, you know what, if your shoulders are a certain way or your hips are a certain way, we can create like a whole new shape by choosing the right types of the shapes, styles and colors of clothing to help you to look and feel more confident.
That's incredible. So I'm going to go off tangent a little bit.
Sure.
So there's this notion that fashion, obviously through the generations, has been seen as quite oppressive and quite a patriarchal thing, right? Like women have to dress up to attract you know, whether it's a man or it's a job or it's a this, that, and the other. And there is this anti-feminist ideology around fashion. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think that's absolute crap. Because I absolutely think that fashion is a form of communication to the world, and to say like, this is who I am. It's, you know, and it's a form of expression, because you can express yourself through your clothes. And yes, corsets and all of that, like, yes, I agree, those types of things, maybe they were, in those days, being forced to wear that. But then Chanel came along and wore the trousers, and, you know, she changed everything up. And we're really lucky as women. We can wear trousers, we can wear dresses, we can wear skirts, we can wear jumpsuits. There's so many options out there. And men are starting to wear skirts or dresses or whatever. And I think I mean, look, I think clothes are a way to express yourself. So I absolutely don't see it as a restriction. And you're going to see the world how you choose to see it, right? Is it glass half full or empty? It's not. For me, I think, choose to see it as something, as a power, as a form of power, that you can use it as a tool.
Yeah, so fashion is definitely, I guess, a way to express your individuality in this world. And maybe back in the day, there was some items of clothing that felt very patriarchal, but now it's not like that at all. We get to choose. We live in a society where we get to choose what we wear and how we wear it, right?
Exactly. Yeah, 100%.
Amazing. You mentioned men wearing skirts.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Yeah, like, you know, David Beckham made it cool, and like Harry Styles, and like, you know, I mean, they could wear anything, and like, I think anyone can wear anything. Like, we live in London, like, we're so, like, well, I live in London, and I think it's a really cosmopolitan place. And it's we're able to, like, you can walk down the street and see anyone with like pink hair, blue trainers, green, I don't know, whatever, like all sorts of the rainbow. And like, it's amazing. I think it's such incredible like space to be where you can express yourself through your clothes.
So so obviously our listeners out there are listening to you and it sounds amazing, but say somebody wanted to look at their wardrobe right now. What 3 tips or 3 items do you believe need to be in a wardrobe? I know you said capsule wardrobes are very individual, but what 3 items or 3 tips can you give somebody who wants to get started today?
So number 1, I would say, is get your hangers that you have in your wardrobe, and put your hangers all facing you. So like the hangers are like this way. And so your whole wardrobe's like that. And then every time you take an item of clothing out of your wardrobe to wear, turn the hanger to face towards the wall. Okay. And by the end of the week or by the end of the month, whatever you wanted to do, you'll see clearly which items of clothing you're wearing and which items of clothing you're completely not wearing. Most of us only wear 20% of our wardrobes. 80% is hanging there, taking up time, space, and money. Lots of items are hanging there with their labels on. And loads of reasons that people hang on to a lot of clothes is because of guilt, emotional reasons, because they've spent money on something, bought something on impulse, bought it on sale, and they're just hanging on to it thinking, oh, one day.
It's me, it's trying to get back into it.
Yeah, so if you're trying to get back into it, I would say the clothes that don't fit you right now, today, take them out of your wardrobe, put them in a suitcase, put them in a some kind of storage or something else, and mark it on your phone or your calendar and say, like, you know, if you are on a fitness journey and you think, right, you know what, right now I don't fit into these clothes, but I'm hoping to by this date, then you have that note in your diary and you take it out of your wardrobe, because it's so much to do with what I do is about energy as well. So like another thing my gran said to me was Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, will not come to your house if you have clutter. And she always had her wardrobe organized like to a T, and she wore a sari every single day. She was very particular about how she dressed, and so was my granddad. Like, even though they were retired and sat at home most of the time, they would, my granddad would wear a crisp white shirt, he'd wear his like blazer, he'd wear a nice pair of trousers. My gran would always wear a sari and, like, you know, have everything freshly washed and everything. And again, I thought that was so amazing that they took that self-care within themselves. And I think, again, with the wardrobe, that energy will not flow well if it's cluttered and you haven't got space to move things around. And the clothes need to breathe, so you don't want everything just like stuffed in there. So you want to create that space for the clothes to be able to move around. And also, the clothes will get damaged if you've stuffed loads of items in there. So number one is the hangers. Number two is take out anything that doesn't fit you, put it into storage. And also, number three, I would say, take out things like, I've been to people's houses where they've got I don't know, their summer wardrobe in the closet, or they've got their holiday clothes or something for like an Indian their Indian clothes in the same wardrobe. And I'm like, that doesn't all need to be there, because you're wearing these on or any occasion wear. Take the occasion wear out, or take your summer holiday wardrobe out and put that into storage or in a suitcase, because all you want to see is the wardrobe that you can wear, that you can fit into, and that makes you feel good about yourself. Because don't have anything in there that you look at and think, oh, I don't fit into that and I don't feel good about myself, because that energy stays with you during the rest of the day. I want you to wake up and think, wow, I love everything I've got in my wardrobe, and I can't wait to wear that. That is the feeling I want to create for each of my clients.
Wow, I absolutely love those 3 tips, and I'm 100% inspired to go into my wardrobe and declutter, because I have to say, I put my hand up that I will just leave things in there. So I've got dresses in there from when I was a size 12 or a size 10. I'm like trying to get back into them, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to get back into them for about a good 6 to 9 months, right? But they're there. But I completely get that whole energy, and I love that you bring energy into it, because it is all about keeping that energy flowing. And one of the things I do regularly is actually give things to charity. So once I've maybe worn something a few times and I realize actually it's not what I want in my life anymore, you know, and that's my way of like letting that energy move forward. Would you say that's also something people can do or sell?
Yeah, so 100%. Like, so wardrobe declutters is my favorite way to start the style journey. That's one of my services. And I encourage my clients to, if they want to really, if they have the sentimental reasons or emotional reasons they want to keep the item, then fine, keep that item. If they have, like, they're done with it, then I give them 2 options: to either take it to a charity shop or sell it. And my team will help you to sell the item. If you haven't got time to photograph them, list them, do all of that stuff, my team will do that for you. Otherwise, the charity that I really highly recommend and I work closely with is SmartWorks charity, who help women that are not in a position to buy new clothes. They go through, I volunteer and style those women. They've been through like domestic violence or like not great things in their life, and these clothes can help them to get an interview and change their lives. So it's a really nice place to donate your items.
So that was SmartWorks, if anybody was interested in that charity that Jeminee just mentioned. But Jeminee, it's been incredible having you on this podcast. We've talked about more things than we thought. You know, we thought it's going to be just a fashion segment, but it's been way deeper. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, work with you, find out more about your services, how do they do that?
So yeah, just follow me on Stylist Academy London, which is my Instagram, and then DM me or follow the link in the bio, and you can get in touch, and I'll be happy to speak to you.
Amazing. And I will put all of Jeminee's details in the show notes as well. And as always, I am here for you guys. If you need anything, just reach out, and we will see you, or I will see you on the next podcast. See you later, Jeminee.
Thank you so much, Aubrey. Thank you.